Joining us now, lifelong friends of ours. It's Frank Dolce, right here on the Zone. Hi, Frank.
Wow. We're really starting the new year off the right way.
Happy New Year's, Frank.
Frank, we just miss you. That's all.
Happy New Year. Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As much as I miss you, I mean,
yeah.
Come on.
Yep.
Our Thursdays are not the same without Frank Dolce.
And I always tell you guys that in all sincerity, like during the football season, Thursday is my favorite day of the week. I love coming in there and just chatting it up with you guys. Nothing better.
It is. It is the best. Are you still going to enjoy it with all these hires that we just saw?
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like changing conferences. I mean, it's a whole new thing. We get to talk about all these new guys and everything that all of this. There's the expectations change, and so it's like brand new material each and every week.
You saw a little bit. I think you called one or two Utah State games this year. Was
one.
It one? So you saw a little bit of Kevin McGivern's offense. What were your indications? I know that was probably the FCS game in which they won by a lot, but give me what your memory serves of that offense.
I think the most important thing about that offense is there's significant similarities to what Jason Beck was doing at Utah, and that's meaningful, especially for the way they've recruited and the talent they have available. So I think that's a big thing. Of course, the pig farmer was running I don't even know if we're allowed to call him that anymore, was running the offense. And I love that guy. My admiration for him has just increased year after year after year, the way that he just manages himself and performs every week and just 100% effort all the time. I think that's going to be an interesting thing too for Utah. If they can get that kind of commitment out of the team, like it feels like he had up at Utah State. I don't think that's really an issue. But if he does get that commitment out of Utah, I think he has a chance to be really successful. I guess in all of this regarding Utah's offense, my big concern is the loss of talent at the line of scrimmage. And I think that's going to be a piece to really watch.
I really hammered that with Scotty. Jordan Gross probably has the biggest job of anybody coming in and taking over that offensive line. But before we continue to get into this staff and what's going on at Utah, how do you feel about what Kyle Whittingham has done?
In taking the job or in aligning with really good coaching?
Yeah, all of that. Yeah, taking the job and taking the coaches. Yeah, I mean, I guess I have tried to build and paint my perspective. Obviously, you're on social media, so you see Utah fans and now BYU fans. Everybody's kind of losing their minds over the pillaging. It's totally understandable to me because it's exactly what I would do. But I want to get your perspective as a former Ute and just a longtime part of that program. How do you feel about all this?
Well, I mean, I probably have a different perspective than some of the fan base, and I just could not be more appreciative of what Kyle Whittingham meant to the University of Utah and to the football program and the program that he built, and to be a perennial top 15 team in the nation is amazing and unbelievable. And I'm not so sure there's many guys who could accomplish what he accomplished with the resources that he had available. And so I look at he's not just one of the Utah greats in football coaching. He's one of the collegiate football greats in collegiate football coaching. So I have nothing but respect and admiration for what he did and what he accomplished. And from what I understand about the way he departed, I don't know if it was necessarily all his decisions. And so I have to factor that in as well. So take all of that aside. And by the way, if anyone thinks that his legacy is damaged at the University of Utah by what he's doing now, that's just foolish. I mean, that is literally just foolish to think that way. But what he is doing now is he's going to an iconic college football program with extraordinarily high expectations. And he has to surround himself with people who he knows and who he trusts, who can get on the same page as quickly as possible, like from day one. And that's not diminishing any of the coaching staff that's been at Michigan. That's an incredible coaching staff as well. But if you heard Coach after the game talk about the disarray at Michigan for the last several years, I thought those were really interesting comments. And the truth is, Coach Whittingham is going there to tighten, get the ship back in order. And there's no better way to do that than with people you trust and with culture that you can build from day one. So I have I have a hard time being upset or angry or anything about the way that he's building his staff and putting together that football program.
Totally agree.
And if you're a competitor like he is, and, you step down, and I think Kyle Whittingham was fully prepared just to hang out with his grandkids and play golf. Mm-hmm. But as he mentioned, there were 3 or 4 jobs that if they came calling, he would listen. And I think Michigan's obviously was one of those. But, he's done so much. And when I say this isn't a knock on Utah. It's just like Utah is where they are in terms of the blue bloods and teams that have unlimited resources in terms of cash. Kyle Whittingham has done more with less than anybody else in the history of college athletics, in college football. And so in your mind, you're thinking, okay, what could I do if I had more? What could I do if I had unlimited resources that I could pay whatever I wanted for whoever I wanted, and I had everything at my disposal? There is no check on any amount of money that I can spend to bring a winner to Ann Arbor. And I got to imagine that's appealing as a coach, being like, okay, I've had to scrimp and save and do this and say no to this and unable to match this. I don't have to do that anymore. I'm curious to know what I can do on this stage.
I agree with that. And I would say that I believe Coach Whittingham will be super thoughtful about that. He understands the grind and the challenge of building a football program with not necessarily a lack of resources, but different resources, and developing talent and developing young men and creating culture. And I think he'll be really thoughtful about doing that at Michigan. I know he has an open checkbook, and that's a luxury. But if he can instill his culture of, pack your lunch pail and go to work, blue collar mentality at Michigan with those resources, that could be a really good formula for success.
All right, Frank, so let's talk about it. He did pillage the Utah staff, and we've seen the replacements. Kevin McGivern is the offensive coordinator. Colton Swan is the defensive coordinator. Jordan Gross, O-line.
I think that's great. I love that.
Derek Odom is the safeties coach. Chad Bumpus comes in at receivers.
Bumpus!
Bumpuses! Inoke Brechterfield at the defensive end position. Kind of walk us through retaining Sharif, retaining Luther, retaining Mark Yatawaya. What do you think of what we're seeing with this staff?
I think Morgan Scalley has done a nice job of bringing in really talented positions, coaches for position groups and coordinators to maintain and hopefully even improve upon, which I think is difficult, what Coach Whittingham has built. And I would say about all of these hires, and I think the thing that Coach Scalley is going to have to figure out, there's a difference of being a coordinator and then being a head coach, and the relationships that you have with your staff and how you manage those relationships appropriately to get the best out of everybody. And I think we saw Coach Sataki have a struggle with that for a couple of years down south, and that's a real thing. I wouldn't be surprised if, it takes a minute for Coach Scalley to figure that out. But I think he's put really good talent and a lot of experience in place. He went out and got some guys who have been away from the program for a while, like Derek Odom, who's a fantastic safety at the University of Utah. He's been coaching all over the place with great success. And so he gets a little bit of outside influence, but still an understanding of what the University of Utah culture is like. And then, of course, Swan at the defensive coordinator, I love that. Jordan Gross, I love that. I think he's done a really nice job in a short amount of time putting together what could be a really excellent staff.
Frank Dolce joining us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. When you look at, I want to zero in, and Hans, I want you to kind of jump on this as well, because you've talked about this at great length already in the first hour of the show. When you have an important hire to make on that offensive line, and Jordan Gross, phenomenal player, I think he should be in the Hall of Fame, but there's a lot of times those guys make the transition into coaching, and they were just such at a high level in talent that they have a hard time coaching because everything came somewhat easy to them, where it may not come easy to a player, and they can't relate in that way, shape, or form. Magic Johnson tried to coach for 10 minutes and realized, okay, I suck at this. It isn't going to work. And I'm not saying that's the case with Jordan Gross, but he has coached at high school, not a lot of collegiate coaching experience. How concerned are you about making that transition to this next level?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is a concern. Michael Jordan doesn't coach and wasn't a great GM, he's the greatest player of all time. I mean, you're exactly right. There's sometimes this difficulty in being a great player, and then that translates into great coaching. So I think there's some reason to be concerned about that. But I mean, I would say that Jordan Gross has all of the tools available, and so he has the makings of a great coach. And now we'll have to see if that translates for him. But I think you're exactly right. There's going to be some concern about that. I think other coaches on the staff outside of that one, there's a lot of experience. There's plenty of game tape on those guys. They have a comfort level. But it's a good question. Something to be aware of with Coach Gross.
Hey, Frank, take us back to 2004-ish, 2005-ish. You're on the call. You're watching Kyle take that staff over. Scotty and I were talking about it. It was him and Gary Anderson, and he had to build the staff. Take us back to that time when Kyle, because that was Kyle starting his legacy, and the people he put around him. Talk about some of those people that he put around him, how he built it, and are there any similarities between that time and what you saw Kyle do and what you're seeing Morgan do?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say the same thing about Coach Whittingham is it took a couple years. It probably took a couple years to figure out the relationships, how to manage the relationships between a head coach and a staff, rather than just being staff to staff, if that makes sense. It's a different way of that you have to manage people. And I think if you even ask Coach Whittingham, he would look back on some of the hires he made and some of the ways that he managed some of those staff. Maybe he would have rethought that. He had to go through that process. Like I said, I think Morgan's and he figured it out. Clearly he figured that out and figured it out pretty quickly. I would say Morgan's going through the same thing. And even with playing under Coach Whittingham, playing under Urban Meyer, being involved under one of the great college football coaches of all time, training in that environment, it just is different when you're the guy standing on the sideline and you have to make a call on 3rd and 6. Deep in your own territory and time's running out. And so, or like, if you have a good coaching staff, those guys are going to move along. It's just the nature of the beast. And how do you manage refilling those positions at a high level year in and year out? And the other thing is, like, a lot of those guys and Coach Scalley are kind of buddies. And it's not like,
I know where you're going there. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know what, when your buddy's not performing at the level that he needs to perform, like, how do you manage that?
Yeah.
There's a way to manage that, and there's a way to not manage it. And those are all, until you actually have the whistle in your hand and you have to make that decision, it's all really great to say, oh, he's going to, he has all the makings of a good head coach. And then we'll have to just see it in real time, how he manages all those situations.
Well, I can tell you one thing. Watching Kalani Sitake, who's a Kyle Whittingham coaching product, he definitely learned from Kyle how you manage buddies. And if the buddies aren't getting it done, you move the buddies out. And we've seen Kalani move some people out and make some hires, and we've seen the product improve. So
absolutely,
I think Morgan's probably watched Kyle. He's probably watched Kalani, and he's, I would send a pretty solid message to the staff. Hey, I know we've all been here a long time, and I know that we all have some level of comfortability, but if we don't win, I'm out and you're out. We're all out. So we better all be on our best game, and we've got a high standard around here to match. Kyle Whittingham left him with a 10-win season, or an 11-win season.
I know.
11 wins, wasn't it? He left him with an 11-win season. It's like, guys, there's no wiggle room here. We don't have time for missing bowl eligibility and rebuilding. Like, there's an expectation, and if you guys want to glad hand and smile and brother-in-law, we're all going to be busted. So I got to imagine, Frank, he's put the hammer down on him, right?
Well, if he hasn't, he's going to at some point. He's going to be put in the position that he has to do that at some point. And it's just a matter of whether or not he is ready to do that. And by the way, this isn't doom and gloom. I'm not like saying, oh, Coach Scalley's never dealt with this. It's just like he's going to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And so we'll see how he manages it. But like I said earlier, all indications are that he has all the tools necessary, and he's building a really good staff around him to be very successful.
I mean, Lloyd, we considered him a friend, and then he became the boss, and he yells at us all the time, and it's been a rough transition.
There's a guy that really understands how to take that managerial role and run with it. Like, he has no problem. I mean, some people say no conscience. I say no problem in harshly dealing with the minions who work for him. I think that's probably fair to say.
I mean, when he yelled at a poor kid to get your stuff and get the bleep out, I mean, that was a rough day around here. And and he looked at the rest of us and said, all right, what are you looking at? I'll tell you to do the same thing here pretty soon. So
you're next. Yeah.
So sad.
Hey, and listen, hey, Lloyd, nobody blames you. Someone has to be that guy. And, you're just that guy.
The bad cop. Always got to be a
bad cop.
Yep.
By the way, I know we're wrapping this up, but can I just make one more comment about Coach Whittingham and his legacy? What about his coaching tree? I mean, what about the guys that he's trained who have gone on to be so super successful coaches elsewhere? I mean, I think that's something that goes underrated, is the people who have worked for him and have gone on and have become really good coaches all over the place.
Plenty of them.
Yeah, it's quite the tree. There's no doubt about it. And it's going to be weird seeing him roam the sidelines there at Michigan. But I think that there will be some people here in Utah that will become Michigan fans, and also those that will root very heavily against Michigan. So we'll see how that plays out for sure. Hey, you're the best, man. We appreciate it. And we will talk to you soon.
Bye, Frank.
You guys are the best. It's great to talk to you. Happy New Year.